And we are back. Another episode of Chris Hates Everything. I am your host, Chris. And what the heck are we hating on today? Today, we're going to quickly talk about systematic oppression and just an interesting theory that I have on it, right? But first you want to define the words, right? So what does systematic mean? Systematic means it's an adjective done or acting according to a fixed plan or system, very methodical, right? So we get that, and I'll leave it up there for the people. And oppression is prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. Right. So now we have an understanding of what systematic oppression means. It's a plan that's prolonged and cruel and unjust, and it's unjust treatment. Right. Even when you look at it like that, you kind of feel like it's a little fucked up out there. And maybe it is. I have an interesting theory on this, right? Because this will be a system that we'll be fighting against for the rest of our lives. But I'm going to show you why that is. Since like the 70s, right? The white people who came like, in the 60s and 70s and until now, right? A lot of your hate is taught, right? You wasn't born with a natural hatred of illegal immigrants, black people, Asian. You wasn't born with none of that shit. You were most likely taught by people, and that's how you grew up. And you grew up in a system where it benefited you, what you believe it was benefiting you because you were white. But that leads me to believe that the system itself doesn't have a skin color, right? The creators of it just happen to be white. So it favor white people. But let's switch it. Let's say this same system that we as black people are oppressed by was created by black people. And white people were the ones who were always fighting, right? Let's say in the civil rights movement and stuff. Let's say that was all a white person's movement. They were all white people. Malcolm X was white. Martin Luther King was white. And there was black people in those higher powers of position, right? Now, a question for the black people. Knowing what you know about black people, do you think those black people in that example I just made will give up anything that don't benefit them to help those white people who are protesting and shit like that? I should have gave you a second to think about it. Do you believe that if the roles were changed and it was black people in those higher positions of power, like you went into like a fucking encyclopedia and shit, and you looked at all the lists of the presidents, and it was just mad niggas in it. It was all black people from beginning to end. George Washington, black. Lincoln, black. They just had black names and shit. DeAndre, Daryl, them niggas. You know what I'm saying? Jay Sean and all this shit. All these niggas. When you look, every president was black. Everything that represented black people it was everywhere, right? It wasn't until just now you saw commercials with white people, and that's the word I'm talking about, right? Do you think black people would give up that power for white people? No. They would never do it. This is why white people would never do it. Because one, they don't have to. Two, the system was built for them, right? A lot of us minorities, we can use that same system to enrich and benefit our own lives. We can do that, right? But we'll never ever get to that level, right? You're going to see a white president probably for the next 15 to 20 years. It doesn't matter what you minorities do. It doesn't matter because the system isn't built for you. It isn't built for you to win. It isn't built for you to necessarily lose, but not necessarily prosper from either, right? The system doesn't have a color. I think that the creators has a color, but the system was always built to oppress the people who are looked at as inferior. Because if you switch it, if you just made it all black, like I said, If it was all black people, if black people created these systems that we live by, these rules of government, laws, and all that shit, if it was majority created by black people to only benefit black people, we would not give up that power so it could benefit other people, right? In my example is white people, right? Imagine that a world like that, where white people are fighting for reparations, right? And you just see a whole bunch of niggas just like, fuck that, I'm not giving niggas nothing, right? It's crazy to think about that like that, right? And it just makes it makes my stomach hurt, because you know for a fact that those white people are not going to give you niggas anything. No acting, sitting, coming. There's no president ever is going to pass a law, pass a bill that specifically helps ensure the safety of black people, African Americans, whatever you want to call them and shit. Never. So when you hear pro-black people on the internet talk about the Dems this, the liberal this, none of them niggas give a fuck about you. You are a nigga to all of those people, right? The best thing for us to do is just go and build our own community ourselves, right? Pool all our money and buy a couple of islands and shit. No, niggas just go there. But we're not gonna do that. So we gotta live with this, with the bullshit that we got right now. It's grim, it's fucked up, but all you gotta do is switch the genders. I mean, switch the fucking color. Imagine that. You open the president book up and it's just all black people. And then that one fucking bush in the middle, sandwiched in between 15 fucking black presidents before you and shit. You get one Bush, and then you get 10 more black niggas after that. Imagine all your Senate and shit is all black people, majority black people, right? Crazy. We would never. You see it with Wakanda. They told you, we're not helping you niggas with nothing. That's what they said. Them niggas, even in the comic book, they told you if we had the infrastructure, the power, the might, the will, all that stuff, if we had that going, we are not giving you motherfuckers anything. That don't matter what the color is. We got the power first. We're not giving it to you. That's the important point in all this. We got the power first. We're not giving it to you. Go fuck.